Hello, I'm Larry Cardwell.
And I'm Barbara Nardi, and you're watching Pennsauken News. And now for our first story.
The annual Senior Citizen Health Awareness Fair will be held on Wednesday, October 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Jack Curtis Stadium in the Cooper River Park. By showing your Medicare card, Camden County residents can receive a seasonal flu shot for free. In addition, the fair features health information tables, games, and prizes. Health screenings will be provided for issues such as blood pressure, cholesterol, vision, and diabetes. For more information or to RSVP for lunch tickets, call the Camden County Division of Senior and Disabled Services at 856-858-3220.
The Pennsauken Police Department would like to announce the recent promotion of 2 veteran members of the department. On July 14th, Lieutenant Michael Probasco was promoted to the rank of captain, and Sergeant Scott Gehring was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Both officers will assume additional responsibilities with their new job title.
Inglesby & Sons Funeral Home and the Business, Industry, and Government Council have partnered with Pennsauken's EMS to distribute free emergency information sheets that seniors can place on their refrigerators. Seniors can include important information on these magnets, such as emergency contacts, blood type, medical conditions, medications, and more. To receive your free sheet, visit Inglesby & Sons at 2426 Cove Road during normal business hours. At community events like the Pennsauken Car and Bike Show and the Harvest Festival, and at the Senior Services Coordinator's office in the Pennsauken Municipal Building located at 5605 North Crescent Boulevard.
The Lions Little Eye Screening Program will be conducted at Pennsauken Elementary Schools on Fridays during the month of October. The screening uses a small camera-like machine that scans both eyes simultaneously and takes less than a minute. 23 different eye issues can be seen in children 6 months to 6 years of age. If issues are present, the family will be notified by the schools to seek further medical help. Visit PensaukenLionsClub.org for exact details. The screening is absolutely free and painless. Permission slips are going out to the schools in September and must be returned in order for your child's eyes to be screened.
Next, the Spotlight Moment, where we highlight people and organizations making a difference in our community.
So we want to welcome everybody. Hey, what we're going to do is move right into our program today. We're very fortunate to have Donald, as I call him, our hometown hero, graduated Pennsauken High, really cares about South Jersey. We've seen a lot of influx of what's happening in business because of what he's done in Pennsauken itself. As you can see on our pending events, we have our car show, our Harvest Fest, but the third thing, which Larry and Terry are putting together with the county, and as a result, I think of some of the things that Donald's done to really care about his hometown. There's going to be 300 to 500 new jobs in Pennsauken. I'm not stealing his thunder, but these are some of the things, and he cares about businesses, and that's why he's here today, to talk about what he can do to help us grow our business, to be an advocate, to help us, as I call him, a hometown hero. So we're going to bring him right up. Let's give Donald Norcross a big round of applause.
I'm sitting there and I was looking at the Harvest Festival, and I said, "Oh, Peasy." I said, "What's his first name? What's his first name?" Gary sold me my first home right there on Bryn Mawr. You just got your business back then, right? Well, yeah, you're still at it. Excellent news. Pennsauken keeps going. But to Tim, much thanks for what you do each and every day, and certainly when we take a look at Graham, it's just the involvement Tim seems to be the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going. But certainly, for those of you who know, we were together 2 weeks ago, Labor Day. Pennsauken, another proud fact. The founder of Labor Day, the founder of the Carpenters Union, the AFL, is buried right here in Pennsauken, and he's working hard, and certainly we will help that to make that a national shrine, because certainly that is something we're very proud of. We have Jack Connors in the back, who I served with when he was an assemblyman. He's still doing a great job. Jack, you look better than ever. I guess getting out of politics is a good thing, huh? But certainly, I was born and raised here in Pennsauken, and I'd like to be a little bit less formal today, if you don't mind. I grew up Edwards and Garfield, 5632 Edwards Avenue. In fact, when I started, all right, I'm looking around, Normandy 22801, remember that?
Oh, wow.
I'm dating myself pretty good here, huh? But went all through the public school system, and there was a fellow who I met in junior high school back when it was called the junior high, a fellow named Steve Sweeney. He came from 4 boys in his family. His dad was a labor leader, and we had 4 boys in my family, and we were labor leaders. So Steve and I will say one thing, he played football and I played soccer. But it's so ironic that here we are, close to 40 years later, and we're serving together in the New Jersey Senate. Steve is Senate President, and myself as the Assistant Majority Leader. And that just says it in just a nutshell what Pennsauken can produce. Solid working class town, strong values, they believe in education. And listen, Steve and I were not Rhodes Scholars. I know you'll find that hard to believe. I ran into one of my teachers, Joe Leto, the other day, and he reminded me of that. But the great thing is that here we are, Alexis, 40 years later. Alexis is my aide, works with me in the legislative office. And the great part about what Steve and I do up in the Senate is we remember that it's the economy, it's about jobs that drive what we do day and out. Because it's business, it's the community. So I am now serving in going into my, I guess, the 6th year. I had run 4 out of the last 5 years, just because we started when Joe Roberts retired. I started in the Assembly. Dana Red became mayor. She resigned as senator. I moved up. I had to run that year, and then an additional year. And then I had the 1 year off. It was a presidential election. Nobody ever does anything for presidential elections, do they? So I really didn't have that year off, and I finally got my 4-year term. And then a couple things happened, and we all know somebody, Rob Andrews, who has served for 24 years in the Assembly. I just want to digress for a moment, because at every Labor Day where Rob was at, Rob was a freeholder in Camden County. And the freeholders, we all know what they do, but he goes from voting on which road to pave, what park to open up. His very first vote in the Congress was whether to send our children to the first Iraqi war. You want to talk about a culture shock. And, I've told the story, and I was in Cherry Hill about a month ago saying it, and Melinda Kane was in the audience. Melinda Kane is a councilwoman in Cherry Hill who lost her son in Afghanistan. And it just tells you, we have a lot of fights in political battles, but at the end of the day, there's some really serious decisions that have to be made that impact all our lives. Obviously, this is the biggest impact when somebody's child is killed in action for our freedoms. So, getting back to where we were, I wanted to take a few moments and talk about jobs and the economy. I'm an electrician by trade. I heard we had a contractor back here. I like to tell people I'm an electrician with a tie. My kids hate that saying, but I use it because it has taught me through my experience, what it takes to create something. A job that we work on typically that comes out of the ground, that means somebody had to have a vision. Then it goes to paper and it becomes an idea and it has to be financed, and then somehow we got to make it through New Jersey's permitting process. But assuming they get through that, then it goes out to a contractor, and then they call the electrical contractor saying, we want to build something. They give me a set of prints and we go and we put it together. And then we leave, and then the next group comes in to run that organization. It's a cycle, but at any point in that cycle I just described that breaks down, there's no job. So it's extremely important. What I want to talk about today is a piece of legislation that I was the prime author of called the Economic Opportunity Act. About a year and a half ago, we started work on this legislation. It came out of the Assembly, our good friends over there. It was about a 50-page bill. Senate got it, and we did something special. There's something called the Urban Transit Tax Hub. What it was is an incentive program to try to help some of the more urbanized areas. The reason I bring that up in New Jersey, and Jack, you know this, 97 cents out of every dollar. Let me repeat that. 97 cents out of every dollar in that program ended up going to North Jersey. Doesn't do us any good down here. Now, I'm not suggesting anything sinister was going on in North Jersey. I am, but I'm not saying that. It was created from a mindset of northern New Jersey, the Bergen, the Hudsons, where they're dealing with New York City, which is a very much higher cost area. So to come to New Jersey, it was a lot easier. So that was the rebirth of the Jersey cities, the Hobokens, Newark to a lesser extent, the same. Down here, we're dealing with Philadelphia as our main competitor. And what happened there is they have something called the Keystone Opportunity Zone, a tax incentive program to keep them there. In addition to that, they had a 10-year tax abatement straight off. So to try to lure businesses here to New Jersey, it was not very competitive, shall we say that. So we went and we created this piece of legislation, and the next 50 pages talked about South Jersey. South Jersey is a different region. So they threw out, for the most part, sunset the old programs and brought in this new one because it's about creating those jobs. And unfortunately, before I go into that, with the news last night, our good friends to the east in Atlantic City, I can't even put into words how devastating. Literally 10,000 employees in the course of 2 months are going to be let go. Good paying jobs with benefits, with a pension. And a baccarat dealer or craps dealer doesn't transfer real well into a lot of other employment. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of retraining. And to think that, gee, that's Atlantic County, that's not us, that's us also. You can't have that sort of a drag. We have suppliers, people that live here, that work down there. So that's going to be a tremendous anchor until we bring that back around. And because of the legislation we did, it's going to include what they call their tech center, the FAA center down there, which is something I believe is a great growth area. Up in our neck of the woods, obviously we have the Camden City, but we also have our port district and 15 miles around there. Because what happens here is that the incentive programs are created two ways: jobs and building. You know, I have had it up to here with some of the tax policies that go on in our country and in our state that encourage people to offshore the jobs or to move the Burger King franchise to be a foreign corporation to save tax money. Now, that's not the way to create jobs. So under this legislation, it says you bring a job here, you build here, we'll give you a tax credit. And I'm just looking at my list here. Since that legislation, and I might have the pronunciation, Destry, Stone Core, Soda Stream, Princeton Tectonics, the Caltite Management Group, let me go through. 6.25 million, 60 jobs, 9.99 million, 75 new jobs, 3.5 million, 26 new jobs, 22 million, 151 new jobs, and 3.375, 36 new jobs. That's Pennsauken. That's about jobs. So it's starting to work, and I'll tell you what, we couldn't be any happier with it. More from a regional focus, I just want to touch base on a couple projects that anybody in our neighborhood understands. 42 and 295. I travel at least 4 times a day. It's called Direct Connect. I call it Malfunction Junction. Here's the good news. It's being fixed. Since I've been a kid, I could never understand how this worked there. It just didn't make sense even as a kid driving through it. $1.3 billion for that. That's the good news. The bad news is you have another 6.5 years of construction. It's tough to spend $1.3 billion. That's only the one project. The other one is called Missing Moves. How many people have come up from 295 from the south or from Atlantic City and tried to get on to 295? That's the one where you go up into Gloucester City, make the left, come back around. They never put that connection in. So we have that on the books to start in 2 years. The design is going on. Another $300 million to connect 295 and 42. And for anybody who travels this, when it's done, it's going to be tremendous. We just got to go through a little pain before we get there. The other item that we're working on, and Pennsauken knows it pretty well. We had the light rail. It's been 10 years since that light rail went in. It just seems like the other day. And as we go from Trenton south, you can see the economic developments coming from those spurs. We want to continue that and take it down to Rowan University, because between the campuses up in Camden, between Rutgers and Rowan, and the Rowan in Glassboro, and the Rowan in Stratford, I'd like to think of that as the new research triangle. Down North Carolina, they have their research triangle. This is ours. We have the economic incentives in place. We have the meds in place with our great hospital systems. And we certainly have the education with Rutgers, Rowan, Camden County College, which we're going to have a great announcement coming out very shortly. So I'm really excited about that. Now, the one going south, why is that important, Pennsauken? Because we're tying the two together. We're tying the two together. I live in the Victor building down in Camden, right there on the waterfront, which happens to be where my father's first job was. I have the huge 10-foot windows, the industrial setting, and I am on the curve of the light rail. So the first day I move in, I'm here, the screeching sound, oh my God, what did I do? I can't even hear that. It has disappeared. It's just part of growing up. It's part of our society. But let me give you some exciting news. Back when we built the light rail, they put diesel on there. Up in the northern half of the state, they had a light rail system, and they put something, they electrified it, and the catenaries. Those are the ones, when you see Amtrak, the overhead lines that run there, they run those through the city. I don't think they're particularly attractive, so going to diesel was not our favorite, but I didn't want to live with that. Technology has come so far with the batteries that you can run a battery-powered train through the city, and then when you get out on the main line, where the straightaways, where it's not congested, then you put the wires up. Because, you know, we ride the speed line, that's called a heavy transit. They have a third rail, which is down, and there are no electricity lines or electric lines showing. But it's heavy rail. There are no crosses. Our rail drives through the middle of the street, so that's why we can't put it in the ground. So we're pushing very heavily for that next phase to be a mixed use, a catenary and battery powered machine. So I thought, how are they ever going to do it? I can't get my battery in my phone to last me a whole day. How are they going to get a train? But it really has changed. The battery technology is absolutely phenomenal. It has been incredibly satisfying when we look at some of the things that we were able to do. Pennsauken is here, Camden is here, New Jersey and this South Jersey is here because of the Delaware River. Back during the days of the colonial era, Philadelphia was founded, we're here. That river, to me, is an economic highway. We had battled back and forth for probably close to a decade about dredging our river. And I have to agree with Rob and Steve Sweeney when they said, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We're not going to take all the dredge spoils and dump them in New Jersey. So they held up until Jersey got a fair share. And now we are literally within 18 months of finishing the dredging project, taking our port from 40 feet to 50 feet. That's about bringing ships up, and with ships come economic development. So we're very comfortable with that. We're finally getting the Delaware Bridge. All right, I'm looking around the room. Delaware Bridge was an area that a lot of high school students used to park at, shall we say, back then. And that is one of the oldest bridges in the Northeast. They're upgrading that to make sure, because that is a vital link, an absolute vital link to businesses who use rail in South Jersey. Because after that, you have to go all the way up to Trent, north of Trent. So that being upgraded is extremely important. So I wanted to kind of hold it there because literally I could go on and on. It has been real honor and a privilege to tell where I came from, which is Pennsauken, and I'm so very proud of it. It has taught me from the very early stages the meaning of community and sticking together. We've always had a vibrant business class here, and there was a mix. We had great companies that were out throughout Pennsauken and had a good residential base, had a great school system, and we see that continuing. I couldn't be prouder than to say I'm a Pennsauken guy. Thank you very much.
The September public meetings are as follows. The Township Committee meeting will be held Wednesday, September 24th at 5:30 p.m. The Planning Board will meet on Tuesday, September 23rd at 6:30 p.m. and the Zoning Board of Adjustment will meet on Wednesday, September 17th at 7 p.m. All meetings are held at the Pennsauken Municipal Building, located at 5605 North Crescent Boulevard, and are open to the public.
Peace, love, and soul. Peace, love, and understanding is the 2014 theme for the Lions International Peace Poster Contest. The contest is open to any young person aged 11 through 13 on November 15th. Eligible birth dates are November 16th, 1999 to November 15th, 2003. Parental permission is required for each participant. The posters can be dropped off at your local school. Contest entries can also be dropped off at McCarroll's Deli on Westfield Avenue by October 24th. For more information about the poster contest, including contest rules and where to obtain permission forms, email PensaukenLionsClub@gmail.com. That's it for this edition of Pennsauken News. Be sure to tune in at 10, 4, and 7 daily for what to do and where to go in Pennsauken. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.